What are the options open to Ukraine and the West, I guess, as well, to get grain out?
Well, if they're going to get big amounts of grain out of Odessa, which is, as you say, 20 million tonnes at least is backed up there in Odessa, then they've got to have Russian agreement to do it. And there are mines in the area. Both Ukraine and Russia have laid mines, at least 200 or 300 each, it seems. So there's probably 500 or 600 mines in the area. That's not a big problem. You can clear channels through them. But it won't work unless Russia agrees. Russia won't agree, I'm sure, unless they get relief from sanctions, considerable relief. They use it as a bargaining chip. They won't get it. So I don't think those talks are going to go very far. But meanwhile, there's something else quite interesting going on at Izmail, which is the port right down in the southwest, the extreme southwest of Ukraine, which is the port that serves the Danube. And yesterday, 8 grain carriers turned up at Izmail. Now, there is some danger of drifting mines coming down there, some danger, but not too great. But those 8 grain carriers are going up the Danube. There is a channel, the Bystraya Channel, which the Ukrainians used to be silted up. The Ukrainians have unsilted it, they've dredged it, and they've opened the channel. So now Izmail is a port that can serve the whole of the Danube, which the river goes right up into northwest Europe. So they can get some of the grain in smaller ships, maybe 10,000 tonnes. They can get it up to some of their European customers. Doesn't solve the main problem, but it does indicate that now the Ukrainians are in control of Snake Island. The Russians are not on Snake Island, which is opposite Izmail.
Which is just down here, somewhat
about 40 kilometres off the coast. Now that that's back in Ukrainian hands, Izmail is a safe-ish port. And some grain carriers are now working up the Danube to take grain to Europe. As I say, it's a very interesting development. Won't solve the problem, but it dares the Russians to interfere with it. It says, look, this is something the Ukrainians are doing for themselves. These are neutral ships taking grain to their customers. You dare to interfere with them. That's, in a way, it puts the onus back on the Russians.
Really interesting development there, Professor. Let's talk now a little bit about the broader military developments. What's the latest area of focus?
Yeah, not much movement on the ground because both sides are pausing as they build up their forces for what will be the next development, which is the attack on Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, which is in the western part of the Donbass. But the Battle of the HIMARS goes on, which is the Ukrainian multiple launch rocket systems. They've only got a few of them, but my goodness, they're making them count. And so they're attacking Russian command centres and ammunition dumps. So a couple of days ago at Novokokhovka, down near Kherson, there was this massive ammunition dump explosion. And then last night, a big explosion at an ammunition dump in Luhansk City. And this is the first time Luhansk has been attacked since the beginning of the war. It's held by Russian separatists. But these HIMAR rockets, these multiple launch rockets, they're so accurate that when they hit the ammunition dump, they don't hit anything else. So there's not much danger of civilian casualties. And last night, with rockets fired from Bakhmut, which is quite near the front line, the Ukrainians targeted a big ammunition dump in Luhansk. So again, the Russians can't do very much about it. And what the Ukrainians are doing, they're degrading Russian ammunition stocks. They're running down their ability to keep feeding shells into their artillery. The Russians rely a lot on artillery. The Ukrainians are doing quite a lot to neutralise that. Whether they've done enough, we don't know, but they're certainly slowing down the movement of Russian forces as this next phase of the attack develops.
Professor Michael Clark.